Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm John with thenetguy.com, and this week we've got an upgrade. Gamdias has sent us the Astrape P1 650 watt power supply. This is a fully modular power supply, meaning that I can take off all of those extra wires we don't need. I think they felt bad because the case was starting to look a little full, you know what I mean? So this is going to help us put us on a wire diet. We're going to clean up a lot of that wiring that we've got in the case, and it's full RGB, which means it's going to match the other fans that we've got going in the case. So stick around and I'll show you how to install this.
So what's so cool about the Astrape P1? Well, it's got a 10-year warranty, which can be really good if you're going to buy one power supply and you want to keep it for a long time. It's also got 26 different color lighting effects in the RGB ring, and it's fully modular, meaning you don't have to have all the cables plugged in that you're not using. So I'm going to show you how we unbox it here.
Okay, first step in any good unboxing is get it out of the box. So let's see what we've got in here. Now, nobody's ever going to use the floppy cable, so we can skip the Molex. Okay, we will need the CPU power, so we're going to save that one. We're going to need at least one SATA header. We're going to save that one. We're going to need one PCIe bus for our power for our graphics card. We're going to need another, and we will need the power supply cable. The rest of these we're going to put away for now. First things first, always make sure that you unplug from the wall. First step in the Talos M1 is to make sure that we unplug everything that uses power from the inside. So that's going to be our graphics card, the PCI Express, and our CPU power header up here. In this one, because I'm using a Dell 9020 and I have to use an adapter for an 8-pin power, I'm going to take that adapter and unplug it. And that should be all the power that's in use on this side of the case. Remove the two thumb screws over here, and you can pull the back cover off of the case. Now, where your old power supply is and your new power supply, you can begin to remove the power cables. Be very careful to remember which ones you need and which ones you don't. Next up, we're going to remove the 4 screws on the back of the case. And now the power supply can come out through the back of the case. Now there's several ways you can mount the power supply. There's actually a filtered bottom in here, but we want to see the RGB, so I'm going to mount it with the fan facing upward. So the new Astrape P1 is going to go in with the fan facing upward. Before we do that, however, I'm going to take note of which connectors that I want, and I'm going to add those very quickly here so that I know that they're connected. The next step is to angle the power supply into the slot so that it can be installed. I'm going to install the 4 screws in the back. There we go. So next I'm going to figure out which cables need to go where, and I'm going to connect those. Now I didn't want to have to use the Molex connector, but because a couple of my case LEDs still use that, I'm going to have to hook this one up. And that's as simple as just taking this modular wire now and adding it down here to the power supply. So I can go up to the power supply, find an open slot, and simply plug in this modular cable for power. The rest of my cables I can start to tuck back in this slot so that they stay nice and clean and out of the way. Now for this last power connector, looks like I'm going to have to start with my SATA drive up here. Now before you tuck away your wires too tightly, it's time to test everything out. So this is where I'm going to connect the motherboard power connector. I'm going to go up here and connect the CPU power connector. I'm going to connect the graphics card power connector. And lastly, before we button everything up, you can plug the power back in and give it a quick test run.
So here's an example of what the RGB light ring looks like. It's not addressable from a motherboard if you had that, but there are several different lighting options and different colors. It has the standard traditional rainbow. It has a fade in, fade out, a chase pattern here, kind of a solid glow in, glow out as well.
Thanks again to Gamdias for sending the Astrape P1 power supply. You've seen the steps needed to install it, and hopefully you'll get one for one of your future builds. We have plenty of power now for a power-hungry CPU upgrade or an even better or dual graphics card scenario. And I really like the features like the silent running ability, so if we're not in a gaming session, we don't need this thing howling. And second, the modular connectors are going to clean up the airflow of our case, going to clean up our wiring, and they're all black connectors, so when we look inside, it's going to look a lot nicer than it did before. Thanks for watching, and if you have a build or a cool thing that you want to show on this channel, send me an email, John, J-O-N, @thenetguy.com, and you could be featured on one of our future videos.